today, and my book is In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts, Close Encounters with Addiction. Well, the issue of addiction in the first place is, why does it arise? And it usually arises because a child has suffered either trauma or significant emotional separation or loss early in life, and that's what potentiates the brain biology of addiction. In a family where there's one addict, other people are emotionally also hurt as well.
I have two sons that are both addicts. The older one is David, and the younger one is Bruce. Prior to entering into any of this with David was none. We'd never had drugs in our home. We didn't know that there were services available. The younger son lived with his father on Vancouver Island for a period of time, and they suspected he was using marijuana while he was on the island. And then it was the school who made us aware that Bruce had a problem because he had been caught smoking marijuana on school property during break time.
Okay.
He got a one-day suspension, lied his way out of it, and basically we carried on thinking it was an isolated incident. We were pretty much in denial that there was any issues. Bruce, he's done the whole gambit. He actually took his drug addiction. Okay, this isn't gonna work. I can't talk about Bruce. Kids are kids, and kids are gonna try new things. And sort of at that awkward age, you know, sort of between 13 and 15 or 16, kids want to fit in.
If an individual is going to recover, the whole family has to recover, or the individual has to do it on their own.
He said he needed to go to a rehab program, or he needed to go to jail. Bruce didn't trust himself to have the strength to clean himself up. Yeah. My children are raised that actions have consequences. And Bruce was finally at the point where he could accept the consequences.
When I started to suspect my child was an addict, when she started coming home at 3, 4 in the morning, and she was only 12, 13 years old. What can I do to save her from this? So I just started following her around, finding out who the friends were, where they lived, following her, dragging her home. She hated me, but I just kept doing it. She's overcome it, but she still has moments where it's a struggle. There'll be certain things that will trigger those memories, but she's able to get past it. My advice to other parents, if they suspect that their kids were using drugs, is to confront them. Tell them that they're there for them. They're not going to kick them out of the house. They're going to find them the help they need, no matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes. And I would probably refer them to some of the programs that Chantal has already been through. Peak House was one of the best. I play a role with her continuous journey and recovery just by being there, supporting her, not judging her, just letting her know that she's gonna have a better life later on down the road, and it's already falling into place. But it's been a long time waiting.
Al-Anon is a fellowship of men and women who have been affected by somebody else's drinking, and what it does for them is gives them a safe place to come to a meeting on a weekly basis, to be with people that have gone through or are going through the same things that they're going through, that is being affected by somebody else's drinking and behavior. A recovery journey for the family is a process, a very slow process. First we try to understand that it's an illness that other person has, alcoholism. It's not something that we've caused or that we can control or cure. If they had another disease like cancer, we wouldn't put our lives on hold. We'd do what we could to help, we'd care for that person, but we wouldn't, you know, subsequently let ourselves go down the drain. Once we can get that idea in our minds, then we can see the benefit of working the 12-step program for ourselves to get on with our lives, not to be so caught up in what is happening or not happening with the person with the problem. The family can suffer from a variety of problems. They, in fact, often become a nervous wreck and just get overwhelmed. Someone that comes to Al-Anon that their partner is still drinking, they can learn so many things as, not to take responsibility for that other person. So then that person has to face the consequences.
I'm Ron Davis, and I'm a life skills facilitator coach, and I work with families and addictions. The effects are basically that the family goes overboard in trying to help the addicted person, which is normal for, they love the person that's in addiction and heading in that direction, and they want to try and rescue them and save them. And they'll do anything and everything, and sometimes doing anything and everything is what inhibits the growth of the addiction. It starts making the addiction worse. In addiction, it's a little bit different. You get the people that talk behind your back. Look at that, he's a lousy parent. Look at the things that happen. He's just not a good parent. He doesn't know what to do. If he only knew what to, and actually nobody knows what to do. The story I have with my own family and the addiction in the family was one of the most primary stories that comes to mind, because it's the closest, was when my son got involved in drugs and everything else, and he come to stay at my place. There was a marriage breakup at first, and that then led into drugs, and of course we blame, all of us do. We think that's the only choice we have is to use, and I understand that today. Back then I didn't understand any of this. I was just an addiction, a person that was in addiction myself, or not in addiction, but a parent of somebody who was an addict. And the person was breaking into the house and stealing food and stealing clothing from the house and stuff, and never paying rent and all of that kind of thing. And that's what was basically happening in that case. And because of my length of time in the recovery process at that point in time, which is about 12 years, I guess, a little better than 12, must have been 13 years, I understood that one of the things I had to do was set that boundary up, and that's it. And I think I left a note on the door just in case, because this person would never come when I was there. That was it. So I left a note on the door, and the note said, if you come up or you break into the house again, you will be charged by the RCMP, and I will report you. And that's the boundary or barrier that I had to set up at that point in time. And he said, Dad, he said, you told me if I ever had any problems or ever needed to talk to you, I could talk to you. And he says, well, I'd like to talk to you. I said, well, come on in, I said, what's going on? And I hadn't seen him for a year. I didn't know whether he was alive or dead, but I had to separate myself from that and just believe whatever would happen, and it would happen the way it did, and that kind of thing. And the next thing I knew, he started working in or helping out in a recovery center, and from that point on, it was just moving ahead with little blips. I mean, we all have our little blips in life, but it was dealing with it without using substances. So the recovery for that person stayed, but it was a constant worry in that, and I just had to resound to, as a family member, that whatever's going to happen has to happen exactly the way it's supposed to happen, and that's it,
My hands start to tremble. I try